Hey there, I'm Sam and I'm rebuilding this Ford Transit camper van. I'm at the point in the build where I'm getting all the last things finished up in the walls before I start building all the cabinets. In this video, I'm going to cover what outlets, both 12 volt and 120 volt, I'm putting in the walls and how to install them. I've done some videos about building electrical systems for camper vans, but I've never done one on installing outlets, so I thought this was a good time. As you're planning and building your camper van, you'll probably want to plan to install both some 12 volt and 120 volt outlets. But what's the difference and why do we want both? Well, our 12 volt outlets are powered directly from the battery, assuming we have a 12 volt electrical system. And these are great for anything that you typically charge via USB. So your phones, cameras, any of those small little gadgets. You can also get a lot of other accessories, maybe a little portable fan or different things that you might use in a camper van that come with a 12 volt power plug. 12 volt outlets are the same as those little receptacles that you see in cars sometimes. Our 120 volt outlets are what we think of when we think of a standard outlet in a house. In a van with a 12 volt battery system, you have to have an inverter to power 120 volt outlets. The inverter takes that 12 volt DC battery power and converts it to 120 volt AC power that's supplied in a normal outlet. These are for powering, well, whatever you would power by plugging it into a standard outlet. So one example is maybe you want to run a little blender in your camper van. The reason you probably want a mix of both 12 volt and 120 volt outlets is because anytime you can power something directly from 12 volts in your camper, it's more efficient to do so. With an inverter and converting that battery power to 120 volt AC, there's an efficiency loss. Inverters also just use a little bit of power anytime they're turned on. So anything you can power without using the inverter and anytime you can just leave that inverter off, that saves you a little bit of power. Let's look at some different types of 12 volt outlets. So this one here is just a standard 12 volt socket. A lot of times you're just wanting to use this to power things via USB. So you can also just get a version that directly has USB ports. This one is a mix of a standard USB port and a USB-C port on the top. I typically install a mix of both of these throughout the van because there's some things where it's handy to have just a normal 12 volt socket, but if most of the time you're just charging things via USB plugs, then it can be a little easier just to have the USB ports directly. If you want the most versatile option, it would probably just be to use the 12 volt sockets, because then you can get a little adapter like you'd use in a car, plug that in, and now you essentially have the same thing. You have a USB port, this one's got, again, normal USB and USB-C, and if the converter in this ever fails, you would just be taking this part out, swapping it for a fresh one, and you're good to go. Now these first two I've showed here are just kind of single plug ones. They have a little mounting plate here and it's just a single outlet. If you want to install multiple of these close together, you can find different mounting plate options. So this one has 2 that go in a line, this one has 3, or this one is a plate with 4 in a square pattern. And these all have a mix. So this one actually has an on-off switch for enabling or disabling these, a USB socket, a USB port, if I can get it open, and a second, just normal 12 volt socket. Later in the video, I'll show the installation process for some of these. I'm going to be putting in one of these dual socket plates and a single port like this. I also wanted to note that with these mounting plates, whether it's a 2, a 3, or 4, the little outlet receptacles themselves just fit into a hole in the plate and secure on the back with this locking ring. Now, the majority of these 12 volt outlets and 12 volt USB ports you find are all interchangeable in these mounting plates. They generally all fit the same size hole with that thread in place with this. So if you find a mounting plate that you like the size of, but it doesn't have the receptacles in it you want, you can usually buy different ones and swap them in and get the combinations set up just how you want them. Now on the 120 volt side of things, there's 2 different types of outlets I'll talk about. The first is what I'll just call a very standard normal outlet, and then the second is a GFCI protected outlet, ground fault circuit interruption. In homes, GFCI outlets are what you typically see in kitchens and bathrooms, so anywhere where water is present, and then normal outlets are what you see elsewhere. In camper vans, we choose these in the same way, so we want to use a GFCI outlet for any location that's near a water source. near your kitchen sink or bathroom if you have that in the van. Any outlet that's more than about 6 foot from a water source can be a standard outlet. But since camper vans are small spaces, and since the price difference between the two, in the grand scheme of everything you spend to build out a van isn't all that much, you might just want to opt to have every circuit be GFCI protected. Also, if you have multiple outlets strung together, so you have your power coming from your inverter to your breaker panel, and then from your breaker panel to your first outlet, and then from that outlet to a second outlet, if your first outlet is a GFCI outlet, then that GFCI protection extends to any of the outlets downstream of that. You do have to make sure that when you connect it, you connect to the right side. There's a load side and a line side. Line side is the incoming power, load side is the power going out to the next outlet. But as long as you hook it up properly, then those outlets that are down the line also get the GFCI protection from the first outlet. The other important thing with 120 volt outlets is to make sure that they're all installed within an approved outlet box. With our 12 volt low voltage outlets, it's okay to wire these up and mount them directly in the side of a cabinet or in one of your wall panels. But for our 120 volt outlets, every outlet should be housed in an outlet box. That also goes for switches or any of those wiring junctions. I have a few different styles of outlet boxes to show you here. These are the most typical ones that I use in vans. When you're shopping for outlet boxes, you'll usually see ones referred to as new work boxes and old work or remodel boxes. New work boxes typically install directly to framing, whereas old work or remodel boxes have these little tabs where they clamp into place. So like in a home, if you're replacing an outlet and need to just mount it to the drywall, you'd be using a remodel box. The way this translates in vans is I like to use a new work box that can mount to the framing for any of my outlets that are going in my wall panels. And I actually mount these to one of the furring strips in the wall and then just make a cutout for the outlet portion itself. This one is really cool in that it's adjustable in its depth. So this part gets screwed into the framing, which I'll show later, and then you can adjust the box portion forward and backward along this screw so that the front of the outlet box sits completely flush with your wall panel. So this is my preferred outlet box for the ones that I'm attaching to my framing that are going through my wall panels, but a remodel box like this is what I like to use for an outlet that I'm mounting in, say, the side of a cabinet. With these, you just cut a square opening for this to fit through, slide it in, and then secure it in place with these locking tabs. This is what a fairly typical outlet box looks like, where it's kind of deeper than it is wide, and so you have space for your wiring connections to go at the back here. There may be some mounting locations, though, where you just don't have the depth to do this, and vans are always working in really tight spaces, and that's where a remodel box like this can be really handy. So this one is narrower, but it has that extra space to push your wiring connections to off to the side here. So this one uses a little more space widthwise, but it saves you on the depth while still being better than the shallow outlet boxes you see, which can be very hard to fit your wiring connections inside. So that covers the types of outlets and outlet boxes I most commonly use. Now let's look at how to install these in the van and then get everything wired up. Hey, real quick, I want to pop in with a quick ad break. Not for a sponsor, but for a service of my own, consulting. If you're working on your own DIY camper van build and could use a second set of eyes, I offer one-on-one consulting calls. Whether you want feedback on your layout, help troubleshooting part of the build, or just want to pick my brain about tools, materials, or the whole process, I'm here for it. I've been through the ups and downs of building vans, and I want to help you avoid some of the headaches that can come along with it. If you want to schedule a call, you can do so directly through my website, and there's a link in the video description below. Alright, back to the build. Let's start with the remodel boxes, which are quite simple to mount, and then I'll talk about the new work boxes. Start by tracing the outline of the box where you want to install it. On the top and bottom, trace inside the mounting tabs, not outside. Complete these lines into a full rectangle, and then it can be cut out. Did you know you can do a plunge cut with a jigsaw? It takes some practice to do so without damaging the surface of your board, so if you aren't comfortable with this, use a drill instead to create a starting point for the blade. Another jigsaw tip is to score the outside of your cut lines with a utility knife before using the saw to prevent chipping out the top surface of the plywood. With the hole cut, you can push the outlet box into place and then tighten the screws to secure the top and bottom mounting tabs. For my 120-volt outlets, I'm using 12 AWG marine triplex wire. 12 gauge is good for up to a 20 amp breaker, but you could also use 14 gauge on a 15 amp breaker for these outlets. For a van or any camper that's moving down the road, make sure you're using stranded copper wire. This anchor wire is tinned copper, which gives it some extra corrosion resistance. When possible, I find it easier to strip the outer wire sheath off before feeding it into the outlet box. Plastic outlet boxes like this have built-in cable clamps to secure the wire where it enters the box. Push the wire in through one of the entry points and continue to pull it through from the inside of the box. Make sure some of the outer wire sheath makes it into the electrical box and past the cable clamp. Notice how the cable clamp prevents the wire from being able to be pulled back out from the box. This other style remodel box installs in the same way. Now for this new work box, which I like for using in my walls due to the adjustability. So this box is designed to mount to a 2x4 stud. The framing in my van walls is a little different, so I modified the mounting bracket a little. First, I used some pliers to bend this mounting barb so it points straight back rather than inward. I did this for both the points on the bracket. Next, I drilled out this mounting hole so that it had a countersink for the screw head to sit more flush rather than stick out a little. This just helps everything fit a little closer when the wall panel will go over this later. Now I can prepare to get this mounted to my wall by opening up the wall panel and then pressing the mounting bracket into place so that those metal points make two indentations in the wood framing. Then, using an oscillating multi-tool, I cut a thin slot in the wood for that mounting point to squeeze into. I can now put the outlet box into place and use a mallet to seat the mounting tabs into the wood, and then fully secure this by adding 2 screws through the mounting holes. To transfer the box's location to my wall panel, I dabbed some paint on each corner of the box, and then while the paint was still wet, I pressed the wall panel against the box. The paint marks the location I need to cut out, and again I cut it out using a jigsaw. The 12-volt outlet panel, which I'll show more later, requires a simple rounded cutout. I repeated this process for my other outlet boxes. Now let's go over wiring in the outlet, starting by stripping the sheathing or jacket off of the wires and then stripping the end of each individual wire to expose about a ½ inch of the strands. This outlet is a GFCI outlet, so one set of terminals is labeled line and the other load. This is the first and only outlet on its circuit, aka the wires going to this outlet box lead directly back to the breaker panel, so the wiring here will get connected to the line side. The black or hot wires go to the brass colored screw. My preferred type of outlets have terminals like this, where there's a metal plate that the wires can slide under. These work well for stranded wires and you don't need to use a ferrule with them. Make sure all the wire strands go in straight under the metal plate and then tighten the screw to clamp it down. The white or neutral wire goes to the silver colored screw. Lastly, the green or ground wire goes to the green screw. If you had another outlet in the circuit after this, the wires leading to that outlet would connect to the load terminals and you would need to make a pigtail connection for the grounds. Here's a quick diagram illustrating that wiring scenario. The wires can then be folded back into the box and the outlet can be secured in place with its 2 mounting screws. Finally, the cover plate goes on to make it pretty and protected. I'm going to show one more example, this time for an outlet with more basic screw terminals. On this type of outlet, there's no clamp plate and the wire is supposed to wrap around the screw. This works fine for solid core wire, but doesn't give a secure connection for stranded wire. For using an outlet with connections like this and stranded wire, I crimp fork connectors onto my wiring. The fork connectors can then be secured under the connection screws. Again, we connect black to the brass screw, white to the silver screw, and green to the ground screw. Once everything is connected and tight, we can fold the wiring back into the box and screw the outlet to the box. When I went to put the cover plate on this one, I found that the outlet box needed to be adjusted, so I pulled the wall panel back and used the adjustment screw to bring the box forward slightly. I then put it all back together and put the cover plate on. Onto our 12-volt outlets. For these, I'm using 14 AWG marine duplex wiring and heat shrink crimp-on female quick disconnect connectors. The single 12-volt outlet is very straightforward. Strip the jacket back on the cable, strip each wire back about 3/8 inch, crimp on a connector to each wire, and then use a heat gun to shrink the heat shrink around the wire. By the way, I'll put links to these tools in the video description below. The two pins on the back of the 12-volt outlet are labeled with a plus and a minus. The negative pin is often bronze as a further distinction. Pop the red wire with the quick disconnect onto the positive pin, and the black wire onto the negative pin. Voila, done. Now for our blocks of multiple receptacles, things get slightly more sophisticated, but not by much. And often, when you buy these already as a set, the wiring often comes prepared on the back, and you just have to connect a main positive and negative. Here's an example though of connecting two side-by-side 12-volt outlets from scratch. We're going to use some more wire, some more crimp-on quick disconnects, and I'm also going to use this lever-style wire splice. First, I'm going to cut and strip some jumper wires. I'm using the same 14-gauge wire for this. On one end of my first red-black pair of short jumper wires, I'm going to crimp on a quick disconnect. On the other end of this wire, we're going to join the two jumper wires together with one connector. Note that the connector is yellow instead of blue because I went one size up to accommodate the doubled up wire. Here are some steps to get a solid connection when doing this. First, splay out the strands a little. Position one set over the other, then twist both ends together. The combined ends may need a snip with wire cutters to give a clean, even end. You may need to start with having these stripped a little further back than before. Now, I'm going to slide a crimp-on connector over these, making sure that all the strands go inside the metal barrel of the crimp section. Crimp it on, and then test it by tugging on the wires. If they come loose with a tug, re-crimp it with a tighter setting. Lastly, finish it off by shrinking down the heat shrink. Our wire assembly can now be connected to the back of the outlets. The black bridges the two negatives together, and the red bridges the two positives together. I'm going to use this lever-style splice connector to join this to the 12-volt supply wire that will be coming from the wall of the camper. This makes it easier to disconnect this if needed in the future. Mounting these in the van is now a simple process. For a single outlet, I connected the wiring as shown in the first example, dropped it into the hole in my wall panel, and then secured the mounting plate down with the two screws from the front. Here you go. Same thing for the double receptacle. Connect it in place, drop it into the cutout, and secure it with the two mounting screws. The other end of the wiring connecting to this 12-volt receptacle leads to the 12-volt fuse panel, where a fuse is in place to protect this circuit. And that's how you add both 12-volt and or 120-volt outlets to your van build. If this was helpful, give the video a like, and subscribe for more tutorials and build videos. See you in the next one. Bye.